So we're going to pick it back up where we left off in the Holy Quran, divinely prepared by Noble Jew Ali, chapter 42, Holy Instructions from the Prophet. Topic dealing with weakness. Weakness. Vain and inconsistent as thou art. Inconstant means inconsistent. As thou art, O child of imperfection, how canst thou be weak? Right? How can you be weak? You're vain. You can't help but be weak. Is not inconsistency connected with being frail or frailty? The root word being frail. Is not inconsistency connected with being frail? Can there be vanity without infirmity? What is infirmity? Let's see what infirmity is. Physical and or mental weakness. So can there be vanity without mental weakness? Those are synonyms. Vanity is a mental weakness, right? Avoid the danger of the one, and thou shalt escape the mischiefs of the other. Right? Avoid the danger of the one. What's the one? Vanity. And avoid the dangers of the other. Infirmity. Because we just went over with infirmity, right? Physical or mental weakness. That's dangerous to have that type of mind state. That's equated to be stateless. Minority, because those are mental handicaps, and that's dangerous. Avoid the danger of the one, and thou shalt escape the mischiefs of the other. Wherein art thou most weak? Question, where are you most weak? In that wherein thou seemest most strong. You seem strong. The place where you seem strong and you got the most ego, huffed up and puffed, ego, 9 times out of 10, that's the insecurity. It's an insecurity somewhere. In that wherein most thou glorieth, even in possessing the things which thou hast, and using the good that is about thee. Art not thou desires also frail? Aren't desires frail? Frail means weak. A synonym of frail would be weak. So desires. Are not thy desires also frail? Or knowest thou even what it is thou wouldst wish? You don't even know what to wish for. When thou hast obtained, what must thou sought after? Behold, it content thee not. Content, root word would be content. Put this in context. We're talking about desires, being frail. Remember, the topic at hand is weakness. Put these things in context. When thou hast obtained what most thou sought after. So once you obtain something, or once you obtain what you sought after, be content with it. Wherefore loseth the pleasure that is before thee its relish, and why appeareth that which is yet to come the sweeter? So something's right in front of you. Why are you worried about better things to come? Or I wish it was better. Once again, wherefore loseth the pleasure that is before thee, right in front of thee. It's relish. Why not relish in what's right in front of you? And why appeareth that which is yet to come the sweeter, because thou art wearied with the good of this. Now it's wearied, not worried, it's wearied. So weary means to become tired. So now, because thou art become tired with the good of this, because thou knoweth not the evil, that which is not with thee. Know that to be content is to be happy. Know that to be content is to be happy. So you've drawn tired with the goods, right, of your present circumstance. You've grown so tired, I wish I had more. They're equating that with a parallel. You shouldn't think like that, because thou knoweth not the evil of that which is not with thee. The future is not with you. Only the present is with you at the moment. So don't worry about the future in that regard, or get yourself sick over being depressed over things that's not in your control. Be content, because to be content is to be happy. Couldst thou choose for thyself? Would thy creator lay before thee all that the heart could ask for? Would happiness then remain with thee? Or would joy always dwell in thy gates? Metaphysical Bible, page 286. When you look up gates, we're dealing with faculties dealing with within or mental faculties. So now that we know that, couldst thou choose for thyself? Would thy creator lay before thee all that thy heart could ask for? Would happiness then remain with thee? Or would joy always dwell in thy faculties? So now we know what gates mean, right? So will you always have joy within? Because remember, the kingdom of heaven is within.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that Islam Anuna,
Islam.
we recording on the back end. We're gonna have a little conversation. We recording right now.
Okay.
Islam. So the kingdom of heaven is within. So that means heaven is within, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means happiness can be within,
Mm-hmm.
not without. So don't worry about what's in the future. Alas, thy weakness forbiddeth not. Thy infirmity declareth against it. So we just went over infirmity earlier, right? What's an infirmity? Physical and mental weakness, right?
Mm-hmm.
The weakness forbiddeth not. Don't forbid your weaknesses. And thy mental weaknesses declareth against it. Variety is to thee in the place of pleasure, but that which permanently delighteth must be permanent, right? Mm-hmm. So variety will be a multitude of things. Let me see. Can you mute Hanuna real quick?
I'm not muted. Okay, hold on.
All right, so variety is done with multiple, different kinds, not uniform. It's not one, it's multiple, different types. So variety is to thee in the place of pleasure, but that which is permanently delighteth must be permanent. Once you find something that you clicking with, the variety stuff should be done. Because when that is gone, one that you permanently delighteth must be permanent. That person or situation that was meant to be, and your mind is still on variety, this is what happens. When that is gone, thou repenteth the loss of it. What's repent? To feel or express sincere regret. So when that is gone, thou experience regret of the loss of it. Though, while it was with thee, thou despised it. So you're expressing regret when the thing that was permanently supposed to be in your life is gone, but when it was live in action in the present tense, you act like you despised it, right? You despised it. What to despise? To feel scorn or dislike for. So these are principles of life, essentially, that we're going over. That which succeedeth it have no more pleasure to thee. Succeedeth is coming after. So that which comes after, we're still talking about the future, that which succeedeth it have no more pleasure to thee, and thou afterwards quarreleth with thyself for preferring it. So you worrying about stuff that's, once again, in the future, out of your reach. And then after you make a decision, or back to the variety of making that decision, you're going to quarrel with yourself for preferring that decision. You're going to be mad at yourself that you did that. Behold, the only circumstances in which thou stop not. The rest means just stop not. Behold the circumstances in which thou stop not. Whatever those may be. But you need to stop it. Is there anything in which thy weakness appeareth more than in desiring things? Is there anything in which thy weakness appeareth more than in desiring things? It is in the possessing and in the using of them. This chapter dealing with weakness. Keep that in mind. Weakness. Goods, things, cease to be good in our enjoyment of them. Cease means to stop. So good things stop to be good in our enjoyment of them. They cease. There's no, once you start enjoying it, it cease to be good. What nature meant, pure sweets, are sources of bitterness to us. And these are analogies. So things that are meant to be sweet appear bitter to us. From our delights arise pain. From our joys, sorrow. Be moderate in the enjoyment, and it shall remain in thy possession. Be moderate in the enjoyment. Don't overindulge in the enjoyment. Be moderate. And when that's the case, it shall remain in thy possession. Let thy joy be founded on reason. When you're joyful about something, let it be founded on reason, logic. And to its end shall sorrow be a stranger. So when you're using logic and reason, and you let that be the reason why you're joyful and happy, sorrow is going to be a stranger. No sorrow. You don't know what that is when you're operating like that. With reason and moderation. Moderation and reason. No sorrow. Because you're not too high, you're not too low. Pendulum's right in the middle. So you're pretty much ready for anything. Sound decisions. Not getting caught up in personalities. It's all about merit and making sense. Right? The delights of love are ushered in by sighs, and they terminate in languishment. Languishment is a state of weakness or loss of strength. So they stop in lack of strength and dejection. Dejection is a sad and depressed state or lower spirits. So now that we know these words, let's read the sentence again. The delights of love are ushered in by sighs. The delights of love are ushered in by sighs, and they stop in languishment, or they stop in weakness, strength, and dejection. That's Lionel Toledo. Join esteem of thy admiration. And we went over what esteem, not self-esteem. We went over what esteem by itself means last week. And right, we're dealing with respect and admiration or high regard. Just please mute Anula. And so Anuna, can you mute real quick?
Okay.
So once again, esteem is dealing with respect, admiration, and high regard. So join esteem to thy admiration. So don't just admire something for reasons that are artificial, pseudo, just because it looks good. So make your decisions, make sure your admiration is mixed with respect. So join respect to thy admiration. So not only just admire it, but respect it. Unite friendship with the love. So shalt thou find in the end content, so absolute, that it surpasses raptures, or raptures would be uncontrollable emotions. Right? So that it surpasses raptures, tranquility, more worth than ecstasy. Right? So we're dealing with ecstasy, same thing. That just amazing high, that amazing emotional, emotion. Same thing with rapture, it's dealing with emotion. You call it a rapture. So tranquility and peace more than ecstasy. So that's back to how 13 started when it's talking about join esteem and thy admiration. It's saying the same thing again. Not only admire it, but respect it. When that's the mentality, tranquility more than ecstasy. Admiration or admiring what looks good. Don't get caught up in the ecstasy of that. When you have respect, you'll have peace, because that's what tranquility is. So the root word is tranquil, like tranquilizer dart. Peace, calm, neutral. All right. Allah hath given thee no good without its admixture of evil, but he hath given thee also the means of throwing off the evil from it. So we have choice. We were given that divine faculty of choice. But also, Allah have given thee no good without his admixture of evil. So both is in play, but we have a choice, or we have a option what door to go through. We have that divine faculty as well. Conscience, morality. As joy is not without its alloy of pain. Back to admixture. When you look up alloy, that's a mixture of metallics, different, 2 or 3 more blends of metals, making alloy. That's a mixture. When you look up alloy, it's going to say mixture, essentially. You can also just say, so in this context of this sentence, as joy is not without its mixture of pain, right? Admixture of evil. They're expressing the same thing, or Noble Joe Ali is expressing the same thing repetitively in a different way. As joy is not without its alloy of pain, so neither is sorrow without its portion of pleasure. Joy and grief, though unalike, are united. Yin and the yang. Our own choice only can give them to us entirely. So based on your choice, you can get all the pleasure. Or based on your choice, you can get all the pain. Red pill, blue pill. What door you want to go through? It's all the same expression. Melancholy. Melancholy, pessimistic, gloomy outlook. Melancholy itself often giveth delight, and the extremity of joys are mingled with tears. So the root word for extremity will be extreme. So we're dealing with the farthest point, the extreme of somewhere. So melancholy itself often giveth delight, and the extreme of joys are mingled with tears. The best things in the hands of a fool may be turned to his destruction. And out of the worst, the wise will find means of good. So the fool got the best things he needs. He'll find a way to turn that to be destructive. But the wise man got the worst thing that he could possibly, situation he could have. He turned that into gold. So blended, do you see the correlation? Admixture, alloy, dealing with mixture. Blended, so blended is weakness in thy nature. O man, that thou hast not strength either to be good nor to be evil entirely. Rejoice that thou canst not excel in evil, and let the good that is within thy reach content thee. The virtues, right? We know what virtues are, right? High standards, noble behavior. The virtues are allotted to various stations. Seek not after impossibilities. Don't seek after things that are outlandish, nor grieve that thou can't not possess them all. So not only don't make impossible, just outlandish bars for yourself. Like right now, I'm not going to say, I want to play professional basketball by this time next year and actually take that serious. It's not happening. So let's be more realistic. It's good to be a dreamer, but let's be realistic at the same time. Wouldst thou at once have liberality, or so root word being liberal of the rich. So if you're rich, you will be liberal. And the contentment of the poor. So you want to have both those qualities in one. Back to the moderation. Shall the wife of thy bosom be despised because she showeth not the virtues of the widow? So you're gonna be mad at your widow. You gone, you didn't you transition, but you're gonna be mad at her because she didn't stay single. Or of course you couldn't be mad at her when you transition, but I'm saying before you transition, to expect that to happen. And that's the second time that example was given, because last chapter that same one was given, dealing with pride and vanity. That analogy was given about the widow, expecting the widow to stay single while one transitions. If thy father sink before thee in the divisions of the country, can at once thy justice destroy him? In thy duty save his life? If thou behold thy brother in the agonies of slow death, is not mercy to put a period to his life? And is it not also death to be his murderer? There's a question being asked here. You see somebody in pain, what would you do? Would you pull the plug to end his misery? And is it not also death to be his murderer? Truth is but one. It's only one truth. Thy doubts are of thine own rising. So doubt is individualistic. Truth remains the same. Doubt is in the head of the beholder. That's a personal thing. That's internal. He who made virtues or high standards, what they are planted in thee, a knowledge of their preeminence. So that preeminence is superior. So let's put this in context. He who made virtues or high standards, what they are planted in thee, a knowledge of their superiority, right? Virtues are superior. Knowledge of the virtues are superior. Knowing that these things are within is superior. Act as thy soul dictates to thee, and the end shall be always right. So listen to yourself. And when you listen to yourself, you're listening to Allah. But to be in tune with yourself, you're gonna have to do certain things. And that's just depends on whoever the individual is. Everybody got they do their own tweaks to reach that peace, to be able to hear yourself in the first place. Prerequisites, right? But once you get to the point where you're tapping into yourself, now you're tapping into the pulse of the universe. Allah. All right, so I want to open the floor for analysis on this chapter and mental and physical notes that we're taking.
Islam.
Happy holiday.
Yeah. Happy holy day, everybody. Yes. This was like right on point for, Mafi, where I'm at right now. So all this is more or less divine confirmation of just spiritual guidance for me to get through it, the passing and transition of, my relative. So I am making mental adjustments within myself spiritually, because I'm trying to understand. And I think with this newfound, where I am spiritually, where I've grown at this point with my new spiritual insight, I'm taking the situation a lot better, of understanding that, we are energy. We all are energy, and we are going to transform, but understanding the energy that has been exposed to you through other people, which is Allah, is coming through other people. So understanding the relationship that I had with this person passing is where I am at. I'm learning. I'm accepting. Okay, now I'm tuning into myself. I'm hearing myself, and Allah is, and because I'm going through this the physical ailments of what I've been experiencing with the knee, with the inflammation and all that, and I've taken an approach to transform my body by cleansing. I'm on that part of cleansing and going into this whole, tapping into my physical body and knowing who, cleansing it. So that is going to take me to the elevation level, like you just read, that is going to allow you to know yourself, which is going to know Allah, and you just elevate. So I do feel in this moment in time that I am in an ascension for myself. So that's kind of like what I'm getting out of this part of the spiritual chapter of, tapping into myself. So I just can relate to this whole section of this reading for me personally. I don't know, sometimes things come to you when they're supposed to come to you. And I do believe that this is my moment for you reading this chapter, Mafi. So you're right on point. This is all divine. Islam.
Islam. That's beautiful. Anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if nobody else, I'm gonna transition to astro diagnosis. Once again, this is Astro Diagnosis by Max Wendell. We're on chapter 12. Once again, background. We're looking at the cosmological makeup of a person from the lens of a doctor as we're reading this, and we're getting intricacies on how to diagnose not only disease, but the tendency of the person based on their cosmological makeup. All right, so chapter 12, dealing with the ears and nerves. Ears and nerves. So we're going to be dealing with a female born June 1st, 1884 at 11:45 a.m. That's what we're diagnosing. It matters not how straight the gait, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Well, may Henley say that man is the captain of his soul. And now we're getting into the reading. Just FYI, that was a poem by this Henley person that Max Hendel's talking about. Just so y'all won't be like, what's going on here? So, well, may Henley say that man is the captain of his soul. When we look at at this horoscope, we read the message in the star and the planets that this soul had prepared a wide gate for itself, and that the path should be smooth and full of sunshine. For we find 24 good and but 8 evil aspects. This, from an astrologer's point of view, should bring good health and happiness. We find the common and earthly sign of Virgo on the ascendant, with the moon and Uranus in conjunction in the first house, forming a sextile with Venus and a trine with Mercury, which latter is the ruler of the ascendant and midheaven. Also, a trine to the higher octave of Mercury, the mystical Neptune. So Neptune is the octave of Mercury. This will give a degree of intellectuality. So we're diagnosing. We're in the midst of diagnosing. Female, born June 1st, 1884, 11:45. Keep that in mind. This will give a degree of intellectuality. This woman should be attracted to the study of dietics and interested in humanitarian work. For the humanitarian and advanced Uranus, which is so prominent in the first house, and in conjunction with the moon, is ruler of the sixth house, which governs the common people or mutable people. Remember, common, they're gonna, in this book, they're saying common. The laboring classes. The common and earthly sign of Virgo gives a tendency to drift along a path of least resistance. So once again, the mutable, whenever you see common, the mutable and earthly sign. So before I continue, let's look at this graph so we can get a visual of the female that's under the diagnostic table right now. We scrutinizing her aspects, her conjunctions. This is her whole wheel. This is her mother zodiacus. Her micro zodiacus. The zodiac wheel. We scrutinizing her tendencies. We scrutinizing how to go about healing her based on her tendencies. The common or mutable and earthly sign of Virgo gives a tendency to drift along the path of least resistance. The people under this sign are not keen to battle with the tide, but prefer to drift and are prone to become victims of physical ailments. So that's Virgo and ascendant. In the case of this woman, we find Mars, the planet of dynamic energy, positioned in Leo in the 12th house, that of self-undoing. When Mars is in the fixed and fiery sign of Leo, its influence for good or evil is much greater than elsewhere. Once again, when Mars is in the fixed and fiery sign of Leo, its influence for good or evil is much greater than elsewhere. We find in this case that Mars is the chief afflictor, being square and parallel to the life ruler Mercury and square to its higher octave Neptune. Once again, for those that just afflictor is terminology just like common, but afflictor would be like malefic, the opposite of benefic, or the good traits of a sign, the bad traits of the sign, quote unquote, or in general. But why should this affliction be considered important when there are so many good aspects to offset it? People with Mars in Leo may be likened to a keg of powder. They are apt to go off at any moment, especially when Mercury and its higher octave Neptune are square to Mars and in the fixed sign of Taurus. These aspects give an ungovernable temper and indicate one who would hold resentment. That's interesting right there. So with Neptune square Mars in the fixed sign of Taurus, these aspects give an ungovernable temper, a person that can't govern their temper, and indicate one who would hold resentment. This is very specific. We find Venus, the planet ruling the appetite, the palate, and the pleasures of the table. Very interesting. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. In the 11th house of friends, in the sign of Cancer, governing the stomach. Wow. So the person we're evaluating got a lot of things going on with appetite in general. That's interesting. Venus is sextile to Mercury and Neptune, both of which are placed in the home of Venus, the sign ruling the throat. I was Taurus, and that's what I was thinking. In my mind, I was thinking about that, like, yeah, I know a hungry Taurus. Venus is also sextile to the moon, the ruler of Cancer, and to Uranus, the natural ruler of the 11th house. These aspects and positions indicate that this woman was blessed, or shall we, in the case term, afflicted, with many friends who invited her to many dinners, and she was ever ready to respond. For with the moon and Uranus in conjunction in the first house, she was naturally of a restless nature and ready to go whenever an invitation arrived. A sextile between Venus and Cancer and the moon give desire for rich pastries and sweets. Consequently, her stomach was much abused by excesses or overindulgences. That is interesting. So the sextile between Venus and Cancer and the moon give desire for the rich pastries and sweets. Consequently, her stomach was much abused by excesses. That's crazy. This is wild right here. Also, her nervous system was shattered by fits of anger. Because remember, we read she ungovernable anger. That was the language, unable to govern anger. So her nervous system, because of that, was shattered. Thus, The vagus or phenomenal-gastric nerve was weakened. So everything's connected. Back to the hermetic principles, which are always in play. Just got to download right now. Your mental state, if it's pessimistic, long periods of time, gloomy, melancholy for long periods of time, your physical body is going to get sick. Your metaphysical self, pessimistic, your physical self, sick. Your metaphysical self, happy, balanced emotions, well. As within, so without. Principles in play. This cranial nerve, which has its origin in the fourth ventricle, plays a prominent part in the functions of the physical body. Its branches extend to the ear, throat, heart, lungs, and liver, and it surrounds the esophagus, which is the tube through which the food passes after it leaves the mouth, with a network of little nerves. Its branches also surround a large part of the stomach. An access of food which dilated and distended the stomach brought about by the impacts of the moon and Uranus on the ascendant, and the temper of Mars, square Mercury, undetermined this poor woman's health, so that she became a chronic invalid. So basically, she had chronic issues. And for the ones that missed the beginning of this book, it was saying the sun deals with chronic issues and the moon deals with, what was the other word? Was it acute? It might have been acute. The sun is in a common or mutable sign near the midheaven and afflicted by a conjunction with Saturn in the Mercury sign of Gemini. Mercury, the life ruler, has rule over the hearing. We naturally look to the place occupied by the strongest planet for the affliction. This woman was afflicted with deafness in both ears, for one branch of the vagus nerve rules the auricle of the ear. She also suffered from a constant pain under her right shoulder blade, indicating liver trouble, and she was abnormally nervous. So constant pain under the right shoulder blade associated with liver trouble. Where we may see how man may be his own executioner, killing himself or herself, as indicated in this horoscope. The ruler of the house of death, the eighth house, is afflicted in the house of self-undoing, the 12th house. The only remedy for a patient of this type is to eliminate all sweets and pastries. Cut down the supply of food to 1/2 and learn to be still, to relax. That's crazy. Yeah, this is.
It's on point.
Yeah, this next level right here.
Yeah.
So on point.
On point.
So number 1B or section B, still dealing with the ears. So, but we have another person we're dissecting. So this woman was born June 22nd, 1881 at noon. We find the Venus sign of Libra on the ascendant and the sun on the cusp of the midheaven. This is the most powerfully situated planet and therefore the life ruler. The sun is sextile to Mars. Once again, sextile, we hear these terms, sextile, trine. We're dealing with the number of degrees of distance, which is called a conjunction. The sun is sextile to Mars. In the Message of the Stars, page 164, so it's a cross-reference. It's the third time he cross-referenced this book, Message of the Stars, because you can further go in depth on the analysis with that book. This book is introductory level, even though it sounds like it's crazy to us because we don't know nothing, but this is actually basic. It's another book that goes more in depth, and that's called The Message of the Stars. And he's talking about page 164 right now. And it says, we are told that a good aspect between these two fiery planets strengthens the constitution and makes the person able to perform hard tasks and produces a super abundance of vital energy. Like, that makes perfect sense. Fire, yeah, I can see that. I know a bunch of the fire signs. That just makes perfect sense. As the sun is accidentally dignified by being placed in the 10th house and on the cusp of the midheaven, the native should have an abundance of will and energy to overcome almost any disease. This we'll touch upon later. So that's like the second time they've talked about like Aries or fire signs being able to like once they're sick, they can shake it, they can fight it off, compared to like a mutable sign where they'll get caught in their head and eventually they just get sick or whatever, and they don't shake it off as fast. So this is just DNA, cosmology, the way why we act the way we act is based on the well blends of light coming from planets. We find here a very strange combination of planets, a blending of benefics and malefics, right? I just talked about that earlier, right? So benefics would be, the best version of the sign, or the version of the sign. Here's an example of that's not operating. So, higher self, lower self of the sign. It would be an example. Benefics and malefics all clustered in the 8th house and in the fixed sign of Taurus. So in this context, they're using benefics and malefics as conjunctions that are in harmony or in conjunctions that are not in harmony in the 8th house and in the fixed sign of Taurus, ruling the region of the throat and neck. We find Mars in Taurus, the sign of Venus, where he is in his detriment in conjunction with Saturn. This strengthens the malefic tendencies of Mars. Some may question the conjunction of Mars, 0 degrees 31 seconds, and Saturn, 9 degrees 13 seconds. And we have heretofore given 6 degrees as the orb of the minor planets. So the angle or the arc, the orb. But there are exceptions to this rule. So before we continue, let's look at this. This particular person's micro zodiacus, mother zodiacus, or the zodiac sign, the zodiac wheel. So you see the heavy, that's heavy, right? That's a bunch of heavy stuff going on in one house. And that was what was being expressed. A lot of Mars. It's crazy. I never seen somebody chart that congested in one house. Where we find a cluster of planets placed in a sign in which their evil tendencies are strong, especially when in a fixed and also a vestal sign, then the orbs of those planets are greater. Their influence is stronger. Now, with Saturn's evil enhanced by the Mars rays or Martial rays, Saturn will have a strong influence for evil when he is placed within the orb of the conjunction with the moon and Neptune. We look for the physical trouble from the above four planets. These, placed in Taurus, the sign ruling the neck, also the glands, nerves, and arteries within the region of the body, which Saturn is afflicting. This indicates atrophy or obstruction. Saturn's influence on Neptune and the moon will cause a contraction of the nerves. We find Jupiter and Venus also in conjunction with the moon and Neptune, and therefore indirectly influenced by the orb of the afflicting Saturn. So we may conclude that this entire group of 6 planets situated in the fixed sign of Taurus and in the 8th house is under affliction. Remember, we just looked at all that congestion. That's what we're reading right now. It's the 8th house. We diagnose them, what we seeing. So we may conclude that this entire group of 6 planets situated in the fixed sign of Taurus and in the 8th house is under affliction. Jupiter rules the arterial blood and Venus, the venous blood. Neptune and the moon, on account of the conjunction with Saturn, may be termed malefic and will restrict the circulation in the carotid artery and interfere with the various tubes that carry air and fluid to the ear. For the moon rules the white fluids of the body oil. Just got through talking about that, I think, on a couple of weeks ago. We was talking about the Kundalini, and I broke it down how it's based on 2 veins. One's white, a white sappy substance, and one's a gold, like yellow substance. And that symbolically in different holy books is termed as the land of milk and honey. But remember, the kingdom of heaven is within. So this book, cross-referencing what I said, and it's in another book called what's that Egypt book? Something to Egypt we was reading a couple weeks ago. I mean, actually a year ago, actually, by now. We read. But anyway, that's what that's talking about. So that
The Light of Egypt.
The Light of Egypt, thank you. So now this book is talking about the white sappy substance that are ruled by the moon. And what I was getting at for the gold substance or the sappy substance is ruled by the sun. That's what I was getting at. So the moon rules the white sappy substance. All right. And that's the intricacy of the Kundalini. So I know Kundalini is just general, the Kundalini energy. But if we're talking about literal, breaking down what that is, we're dealing with veins So fluid traveling up to that medulla oblongata, and that's where it gets destroyed. It gets generated in the lower back, destroyed, and that's where you get the acronym like C. Manel always talks about, the GOD: generator, operator, destroyer. You're just gonna generate, you're gonna be at a state to operate what's generating, and then it gets destroyed. Start it all over again. For the moon also rules the white fluids or body oil. As a result of the restriction of the various fluids, the semicircular canals of the inner ear are lacking in the liquid known as endolymph. This liquid acts upon the nerves that run to the three canals, as the acid acts upon the copper plates in an electric battery. I mean, it's a conductor. Anybody took electronics, that's an example for conduction, generating electricity. That's a cold analogy. This liquid acts upon the nerves that run to the three canals, as the acid acts upon the copper plates in an electric battery. Also, the acid on the copper plate. So it's okay. So it's doing bad. That's the acid is going to keep it from being conductive. Okay, so now I see. So when you lack that liquid, all right. So she's lacking that liquid. Fire. See how you can see, this is interpreting. We're not just yelling out syllables. We're actually interpreting. There's beauty in that. Where this endophic is lacking, the equilibrium of the body is disturbed. So when that's lacking, well, what's lacking? That liquid known as endolymph, and this is needed for the ear, right? The semicircular canals of the inner ear. When that's lacking in the inner ear, the equilibrium or balance of the body is disturbed. And as in the case of this young woman, people are afflicted. People so afflicted cannot walk without pitching forward. With the obstructed circulation of both arterial and venous blood, she has also suffered with spasmodic tuberculosis, the twisting of the cervical muscles. So spasmodic tuberculosis is the twisting of cervical muscles. But so the root word would be spasm. So having spasms or just episodes uncontrollably.
Like epilepsy.
Right.
So that might be the cause. Can you go back? I'm sorry. What causes that liquid to not be in, what causes that to you not to have that? Was that explained, or did I miss it? Is it just her makeup?
Right. Yes.
It's just her makeup for this sign.
No, it's right here. It's Neptune and the moon on account of the conjunction with Saturn may be termed malefic, and malefic is like, not favorable, or in harmony, where you're gonna be feeling kind of conflicted, and will restrict the circulation. So based on her conjunctions and her alignments and things like that, her circulation was restricted
at this point for her chart, right? But this is not ongoing. This is just something she would have during this time that the moon, that the planets are lining up.
Right. And it will interfere with the various tubes that carry air and fluid to the ear. And that fluid to the ear is based on the conjunction, right? That I just, so.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you.
Well, that's good, because you probably be towards the end. When obstructed circulation of both arterial and venous blood, she has also suffered from spasms, basically, like we were saying, right? The twisting of cervical muscles. The square of Mercury to Mars would give this nervous contraction. The trouble developed in the fall of 1914, when the progress moon had reached a conjunction with the radical Mercury. The transiting Uranus was in 8 degrees of Aquarius, making a square to Saturn. And the transiting Saturn was in conjunction with the radical Sun in the midheaven. These transits excited the affliction of the progressed moon, and naturally the nervous system was disturbed. It has been said in our astrological diagnosis in the past that the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in Scorpio or Taurus may cause malformation of the generative organs. And in the message of the stars, a case was given proving this. The affliction of planets often work in squares and oppositions. In this case, all planets are in Taurus, which rule the larynx and the throat, and is in the sign opposite to Scorpio, ruling the generative organs. So before I go on, I want to go back to that visual. See all in Taurus? That's the glyph for Taurus. Back to that conjunction, that congestion rather, that example. I'm like, oh, I saw congested in that one house. Now we've been talking about specifically what's going on in here. Just wanted to try to get a visual. They said all in Taurus in that house. That's all Taurus right here. All right, so let me go back down to 88. Here
So
we
this
find,
person could probably, oh my bad. I just want to ask, this person could probably correct their problems if they studied their own chart and, you know, like refrain from sweets or did, you know, the opposite of what she's prone to or whatever.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm almost finished.
Okay, cool.
Here we find the cause of a disturbance, which to some extent helped to bring about the physical trouble. There was an abnormal and unnatural sex desire, which, not finding expression, excited the flow of blood to the throat. And this being obstructed caused disturbance. Now, regarding the sextile of the Sun and Mars and the trine of Uranus to the various afflicted planets in Taurus, were it not for these good aspects, this young lady would not have grown to womanhood, for the great trouble would have arisen during puberty. But the life-giving sun, so powerfully situated in the midheaven sextile to Mars, and also within the orb of a sextile to Saturn, saved her much trouble during this period. If she could, under the care of an experienced osteopathic physician who understands proper manipulations, this together with a careful diet would enable her to overcome. Right? We just answered what was just stated right now in the chat, reversing the diet. So that, right, careful diet would enable her to overcome her physical afflictions. So we'll pick it back up Wednesday with section 1C, dealing with the ears, abscesses in the frontal bone. So I'm gonna open the floor up for mental, physical notes, perspective, how people feel about what was read.
Mhm. Well, like I said, I can only expound on how this is just perfectly for me right now. That's all I'm just gonna say. Praise is due to the divine order on myself right now. This is good.
Wow. Phoenix.
The thing that stood out to me first was that the man is the captain of his soul. That took me to the whole law stuff and how a lot of those definitions relate to sea. And yeah, so it's all like a connection for me with that.
Wow.
Mhm. 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 Hmm.
Carmisha, Jamila, Tasmaji.
Mhm. Hmm.
Jamila.
Hi.
Hmm.
Yeah, so everything is interesting. Yeah.
Nothing specifically. Nothing specifically stood out.
Hmm.
Yeah, the way we eat, definitely, we have to take care of our temple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Brother Toledo, you got any more thoughts?
Shoot, not too much. It's just interesting to me how all that works out. Like I wish there was a pill to fix everything, but it's could be different for each individual. I just think that's pretty fascinating.
Mhm. Mhm. I agree with that.
But I mean, I think you can follow like a general healthy, guideline, like trying to be alkaline or whatever. Probably does fit most shoe sizes, but with a little bit of, customization for the individual.
Hmm.
Yeah. D Cup Bay, you got something you want to say?
I learned a lot, Grand Sheik, and it's helping me with a lot of things that I'm dealing with right now too. And with the loss of my son and everything, so it's lifting me up and allowing me to recognize my divine self.
Oh yes, Islam.
Wow.
Islam.
Mhm. Islam, brother. I'm going through the very same thing, and that's exactly what I received from this. It's like the divine information to focus on, knowing that we are energy and spirits, and those that are connected to us were connected to us in that spirit, and
Islam,
how
mother.
it's
Islam.
and how it's still a part of us going on, and
Yes.
not to be so in the emotions of it, but to carry on that, and this is just so deep, and it's making you become closer to who you are and Allah. So it's just
Islam.
beautiful.
Yes,
Mhm.
and that's what it's like, the infirmary of Melly Collin. If when you think about it, it's like it takes you back, but it also sets you back. But
Yes.
you have to think about it in moderation.
Mhm.
And once you think about it in moderation and you grow, you tend to lose that sight of the pain. You have to go through the pain in order to heal.
Because we're human. Yes, human.
Yes, we're human. We're not perfect.
Mhm.
So we
Right.
have to take that expectation off of that and
Yes.
deal with self, because that's what
Mhm.
I've been doing for the last 4 years. And I know what these people did to my child, but you know what? Anger is not going to get anything done.
Right. Right. At this
Love
point.
is. And I don't
Mhm.
have the pain for those people who did, and I'm talking about the police and his mother. I don't have the pain anymore. Yes, it hurts me, but you know what? I really feel sorry for them because they took an innocent young man.
Okay. Okay. Yes. But you're
And
taking the
that's
right
it.
mindset.
I can't have in my altar fire, in my altar hate. I have to rekindle love with that. And that's what I'm fighting with love. And that's why, you know, I'm still on this battle. I'm not going to give up because these people did wrong and I have their proof. So I don't have anything to be angry about anymore.
Well,
I know how to deal with them.
You are enlightened through this, through
Islam, mother, Islam. I know I am.
Enlightened right now through all your studies and your efforts to heal yourself and your mind and your spirit. So you are definitely going to be transformed through all of this.
And this is what the transition is for. Like I said, I know that I can't bring my son back. He's not going to come back in 3 days. He's not going to return. I know this. He's in the universe. He's with me right now. As I speak in his honor. But the thing is, we have to make what's right and do right. And that's what I'm here for. Allah brought me here.
That's right.
He brought me here. I was in darkness in the Christianity and Black Negro and color. Nobody knows the darkness but me. But I had to go through that darkness. That's why I'm on the other side of that darkness.
We all were in darkness. We all were in darkness. All of us.
I'm enlightened. I love it. It's a part of me. It makes me feel now I'm solid here. A divine me. A divine me.
There it is. There it is.
Islam, mother.
Islam.
I'm not afraid of these people. Allah will provide. I'm not afraid.
Well, you don't have fear. You can't have fear.
No fear. I'm not. I just don't want to speak out of term and I don't want to speak in ignorance.
Yes.
That is my fear. That's why I yield.
Well, Islam, you're going to be blessings to you. I mean, blessings to you, brother. I'm sorry.
Thank you, mother.
Tazmaji, you want to chime in?
Oh, and my son's name was excuse me. My son's name was Tyler Honeycutt.
Tyler Honeycutt.
Yeah,
he died July 6, 2018. Okay. And don't believe the story that you see when you go look this up. He did not commit suicide. 9 days before his birthday, no way. These police did the wrong thing and I got them. I have their proof.
Well, I mean, there it is. Move forward with our line. You're going to get your justice.
In motion, mother, in motion.
Wow. Tazmaji, your thoughts?
No. I was no.
Okay.
Islam, Mataji.
Islam.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on the reading?
One more thing that I had got from that that stood out real prominent was man may be his own executioner. Like and then we've been talking about moderation, temperance, all of that. And the only way that you would ever know that you're executing yourself is if you study yourself and you actually know this information. Like
as the prophet said, yes. Study self.
Islam, yes, that's right. Islam on that.
Islam.
That is it.
You're distracted when you're worried about and you're on site with someone else's. You're not focused on you. So how are you studying self? And how are you focused on self if you're worried about someone else?
You're giving your energy away. You're giving all your energy. Energy to something that's non-productive. And then you wonder why you have a headache, why you so tired, why you drained. You don't give all your energy away thinking about and worried about other people.
Exactly.
But not only
Instead
that,
of
like
just
when
saying
you
me
worry.
first. Let me first.
Yes, me first. Yes.
It's not me first for selfishness. It's me first. Excuse me, mother, for cutting you off.
No.
It's me first for helping others.
Yes, it is. There it is. And it's funny, we have to reprogram ourselves to think that way because you naturally start to begin to think about other people like that.
Think where you are.
Well, we just naturally do that. So it's about restructuring our thoughts, period. That's what it is. And it takes time,
And the future. And the chapter we read, worrying about the future as well.
That's right.
You gotta be content in your present
Yes.
state.
Somebody explained something to me. If you live in the past, that causes depression. And when you live in the future, that causes anxiety. You need to stay present with your own self so you don't get caught up in the mental stuff.
Wow, that was profound, sis. Islam.
Islam, mother.
That can be a T-shirt. You can put that on the front, put the part on the front and then put the rest on the back, that could be a
Yes.
T-shirt.
Hey, that's actually a good idea. Moppy got the printer over there. Go on and print that up.
You gotta say it again. You gotta say it again. No, but it just hit my spirit. It just hit my spirit perfectly with that. Yeah.
Okay, it said when you live in the past, you suffer from depression. And
Yes.
when you live in the future, you suffer from anxiety.
Yes. So live for the now.
Yep, stay in the present.
I like that.
Stay in the present. Stay in the present. Or just
They
stay,
said that
or just stay in the present. That's just a motto right there. Put that in.
Right.
Let people think. Just stay in the present. Well, what do you mean stay in the present? Well, break it down.
Then you break it down for them. Right. Open
Break it down
conversation.
for 'em. Conversation. Open the door for conversation. Yeah. What does that mean? Yeah. Stay in.
Brother Toledo, you got something you want to say?
oh yeah, it was just something like the same thing. They said it in a kids movie. I think Kung Fu Panda. It says where the future hasn't came yet and the past already is over.
Yeah.
So right now is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
Oh.
And also
That's
too, another thing that's a trip. I think it was like Alan Watts. He was saying that the future isn't real and it never will be real. And the past isn't real either, because what will be real is right now, the present.
Yeah, because all three of them are all one and the same. Yeah, I mean, the past, present, and the future, they all exist at the same time. You can't, it's like the yin and the yang, and then the what's the middle part called? The middle mafia, to keep the yin and the yang at one. So it's like yeah, they all gotta exist at one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's God probably sees it as like just a picture, and we see it as a time. It's just a stamp, huh?
It's one experience, one long day, or whatever. You could look at it like that. Just
Going through a day and night. Yep.
yeah.
It's something you said stood out to me about the future is not here yet, or it's an illusion. What did you say exactly? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're breaking you up, Toledo.
Nothing, just that it's not an illusion, just that it's not really real. Like the present is always happening. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet. Yesterday already happened, so it's not real anymore. But the present is always real. Like that's what we experience.
Yeah,
That's what we're always embracing.
That caught my attention. You said the future is not real. And then that stood out to me because everybody has free will. Like, you can make a decision that'll change whatever future you thought was written type stuff. Like,
do it without will. What's that? Crawley.
Yeah. And you can hurt yourself thinking of being depressed from the past. You can injure your organs, your major organs in the present.
Because that's energy.
Yeah, just like Mafiel was saying, even holding on to like pessimism can cause physical ailment. Pessimism can probably come in the form of anger or deep sadness.
It's just like when the mind is sick, the body is ill.
Yeah.
Say that again.
When the mind is sick, the body is ill.
Yep. Remember that Hermetic principle? As within, so without. Your metaphysical self, Your physical self is a correlation.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, when you master the mind, you master the body.
Mhm.
Your mind tells your body what to do.
Yep. And then we all have choice. And I was looking for the choice bar in the Quran because we just read that. I just had it.
Everyone has free will, but it's consequences.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
Everyone has free will, but it's consequences.
Cause
Mm.
and
You gotta
effect.
choose wisely.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the energies. No, but nobody can escape the energies now.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I got have a video that really show how like the energy, it's like 3 minutes, but it really show how our aura of energy flows through our body, like how we
Yep.
pull in energy magnetically to the earth pool, and how the earth does it naturally, and how it forms the vortex around it, like we know the dome of the firmament and all that.
Yeah.
It just goes with a little bit of like crazy
Ooh.
little
Can
bit.
you send that? Can you send that? Is it a YouTube?
Not on YouTube. I could send it to you, or not. Are you on Instagram, mother?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, I can send it.
Yeah. Oh, that would be very interesting to see. Hmm.
She gonna do the test one?
What is your Instagram? Hanuna?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to. I don't even know. You have to send it to me. You better send it to her directly to her phone. You probably get that faster.
Yeah. Can you send Alnor? Can you send it? Is it Alnor? Was that Alnor?
It's me, mother. It's Lon.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just can you just send it to my phone?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Okay. I would appreciate that. Hmm.